Hey guys, it's me, the Trayman himself, and I am back for another video. And today, I'm going to be showing you guys a full damage and kill detection system. It has a tiny bit of flaws, but it's really good, actually. And allows for really cool things, including making dungeon mobs, like from Hypixel Skyblock, or making their auto collection drops with specific enchantments, whatever. You can, in theory, do all of that just with this. It's really cool, and I recommend that you watch through the entire video. And if you do, make sure to leave a like and to subscribe. If you do, I'll be really happy. So, thank you. Anyway, let's get right on with the video. As you can see, I have 5 kills and 0 money. So, I'm going to go ahead and get myself some husks with this specific mob. Yeah, I'm going to tell you guys something really quick. If the two mobs spawn on the same block, that's one of the issues. It will automatically give you the kill and money specific to that mob, which is kind of one of the bigger issues that I have to kind of overcome, if you know what I mean. So, as you can see, I killed a mob in theory, and bam. And, as well, every time the mob gets hit, I get a strength boost as well. And, so, yeah. As you could tell, I actually was able to kill the Wither in under a minute because of the strength boost and it being close to the ground. So you could this just gives you the combo ability to build up your strength kind of deal. It's really cool, and in theory you could make a combo system so with every hit you deal more damage to the mob. That could be so cool, and I plan on doing something like this in the future. Maybe if I ever start a server, I'm 100% going to use this, and maybe I'll do it there. And like against players, if you land a hit, as long as you keep comboing them within a second's worth of time, you can actually like completely wreck them with damage. That could be so cool. I don't know, it just sounds fun to me. So yeah, as you can see, I got 11 kills, which is pretty accurate other than that one time when the mobs spawned on top of each other. So I do have a specific mob here, so a creeper. If I go ahead and kill this creeper, I get gunpowder. As you can see, the husks didn't drop anything. Only the creeper does, right? Also, a quick thing to mention, another tiny flaw with this system is if the mob spawns, like naturally through a spawn egg or through the /summon command, and doesn't have leather boots, or the specific leather boots, then they will straight up just like, okay, they will give you the buffs or whatever that it's supposed to give when you deal damage to the mob in particular. So you can just like /structure load the mobs in with the boots and whatever, and that will work 100% of the time, just so that you know, just so that you're informed. Okay, so anyway, yeah. So as you can see, bam, bam. So I'm making money every time I kill it. As long as there's one mob that spawns in the same place, then I'll get the money for one. But if 2 spawn on the same block, as you now can tell, that won't help my case with the money. So also, if the mob does just die, it kind of, yeah, it gives me the money still and counts as a kill towards my kill count, which is okay, I guess. So, yeah. In theory, look, I'm fisting creepers. This is hilarious. Oh, that's actually epic. So, now, as you could tell, that's how this works. And obviously, as you could see in the title of this video, this is both a showcase and a tutorial. So, I'm going to try and make it clear to all of you guys that, you know, there's distinct videos where it will be both, and distinct videos that will just be one or the other. So, I'm going to actually go over the commands. And this part over here is not a part of the command. It is this, and all the way there. And actually, a ton of this is for just the mob randomization on drops. Also, a big thing with the drops is that there's a 1 in 1,000 chance that you can drop a creeper head, which is hilarious. So yeah, now you'll know. Begin with the very first thing. This is what gives me the strength, and this is what the leather boots were. Alright, so this will execute at every entity that is not a player, that is in the family of a mob. I didn't know if the player was in mob family. I was guessing not, but just to be safe, I made sure that it wasn't there included. So, and then comma type, it's not an armor stand basically, and that's what the exclamation mark means. That means that it is not that thing, you know. And then it will replace item of the entity in their feet slot, or their foot, like where their boots are supposed to be, to keep. So that means that if there are if there's something in that mob's boot slot, then it will not replace with the leather boots. But if there is not something there, then it will place the boots in, which has 1,000 durability, which is why like the boots break every time you hit the mob. That's how it detects damage being dealt to the mob. So now it will then execute at all players, to execute at all entities that, again, are not a player, that are in the one singular mob in the radius of 3 of the player, that again is a mob and is not an armor stand, to affect the nearest player. So basically the player that has just damaged the mob will get strength. In theory, if you're around any mob, well, any players around a mob, and a player were to hit that mob, then it would execute off of all players and give them all strength. That's kind of an issue, but in theory you do not need the system. I just had it here just so that you guys knew that you can do stuff like this. Alright, we're going to move on to the next command. This part is where the actual death detection happens. It doesn't go off of mob drops, because that's really simple and it's not very effective, because you can't detect every single time that the mob has been killed. And my previous method of detection of killing was very flawed, because you could kill the armor stand that is responsible for the system. So again, it will execute at any mob that again isn't a player or an armor stand that doesn't have the tag MKD, to load the structure MKD, which is just an armor stand that's named MKD that has invisibility. And the degrees and stuff doesn't matter. The none matters, so just keep that there. And then true false, so it doesn't break the bedrock. As you can see, it spawns it in at Y level 0. So, as soon as the mob spawns in, it spawns in another armor stand. And now it will add to every entity MKD, so now it can't spawn in any more armor stands. And now, scoreboard players set at E bracket name equals MKD to 0. So, it's basically setting this score, all entities that are named MKD to the scoreboard of MKD and to 0 of that scoreboard. And then this will execute at all mobs that aren't armor stand or player that have the tag MKD at Y level 0 to scoreboard players. So, okay, basically, if this top part, the first execute, is basically going off of like the creeper, the husk, any of those mobs, and then at their Y level 0, so on their coordinates, but at Y level 0. And then it will set the name to, so it will set any entity that's named MKD in the radius of 2, and only one of these entities that are on the Y level 0 to MKD 1. This is important. So it basically, the command before this is setting it to 0, and then this is if there is a mob around, then the armor stand will have the score of 1. But if there is no mob around, then it'll have 0. Basically, just to be able to detect what I should do further on. So now, if it executes, well, or detects an armor stand that has the MKD score of 0, then it will scoreboard players add the nearest player kills 1. So it will give that player, the nearest one who killed the mob, 1 point to their skill or their kill scoreboard. And obviously you could do anything like the experience or anything of that kind. Then it will execute at E bracket, well, again, the armor stand that has the score of MKD 0. To go ahead and do the scoreboard operations on the nearest player of their money to go ahead and add their money to their to that other player. So the armor stand will add their money to the nearest player. So I can add money to the player, in theory. Next, it will execute at E, bracket type equals armor stand, MKD equals 0, and MT equals 1. So here, we'll go really quickly over this, okay? So, it will execute at all creepers at their Y level 0 to go ahead and set any entity that's named MKD in their radius of 2, and only one of these entities at Y level 0 and setting their money to 10. So the armor stand now has the scoreboard value for money as 10. Then it will execute at the player to go ahead and scoreboard player sets MKD again to the scoreboard MT, which stands for mob type 1. So my first mob type, so if it was a husk, I could do MT2. So it makes the armor stand, in theory, different from a husk's armor stand. So if it's a creeper armor stand, it will have the scoreboard of MT1. But if it's a husk's armor stand, then it'll be MT2. So on and so forth. You don't have to do any of this stuff. It's just very useful for drops and stuff like that. Oh, and this scoreboard is just showing me my money and kills. It's not a very complicated scoreboard, and I've gone over it before. It is complicated to people who are just learning it, but anyway, let's just continue on. So, any entity that's named MKD whose score is 0, it will teleport to Y level -100. Pretty sure I have this here somewhere. Aha. Okay, now, it will execute at E, bracket type equals armor stand. So, if the armor stand, right here, right? If the armor stand, it has no armor stand, if no mob that's controlling it or making it, its own, and it's the mob type 1, so that means that its mob is a creeper, it will execute the nearest player to scoreboard set that player to mob type 1. What does this mean? Obviously, then it will get teleported into the void. And now, what would happen is it would execute at all entities that are, again, not an armor stand or player at their Y level 0 to... Oh, okay, so this basically is just making sure that the armor stand gets teleported if their MKD is 1. So if there is an entity along with that armor stand, then the armor stand doesn't fall in the void, since it is constantly at Y level 0. So, it will then... Okay, so we're going to continue on to this. So, it will execute at all players whose score is mob type 1. So that means they just killed a creeper, right? And then that will go ahead and randomize that player's scoreboard for mob drop. So this is their chances for a mob drop of 1 to 1,000. So now, if the player has mob type 1, so they killed a creeper, and they got in between mob drop chance of 1 to 700, they will get this specific drop, which is 1 singular gunpowder, just so that you know. And then, this right here, if the player lands a 701 to a 999, then the player will get this structure to load on them. And if they are very lucky, they will get the the 1000, which would load this structure on them, and this will give them a creeper head. So a 1 in 1,000 chance to get it. And now this will go ahead and reset their mob drop chance and the mob that they just killed. So it's not as complicated as most people would probably see it. It's actually pretty simple to understand if you try hard enough, I guess. I could link this video in the description or in the pinned comment if you guys want. I can even get it on MCP EDO. That's just, of course, if you guys want. And if you do, comment down below and ask for the world copy. And if you have any questions, like a short question or anything, go ahead and ask in the comment section down below. I will get back to you as soon as possible. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.